Hello there, this is DBT and this is Art of Rooms. And alright, let's continue playing some more Asphalt Legends. And today, I'm gonna be doing a bit of a quick test of every one of the new cars added in the game in the latest update, as well as playing in the newer map, which is obviously what you see on the screen right now. And that's of course San Diego Harbor. And I do want to delve a little bit into the peculiarities with the teleporters in the map. But before I jump into it, if you enjoy my content, you know what to do. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. I ask you to do this because it helps the channel to continue to grow, it makes YouTube to suggest this to more people, and in that way, I can continue making this content for you. So if you want some more Asphalt Legends, go ahead, like, and subscribe. But alright, so first, I'm just doing a little bit of a drive-through in, again, the new map, San Diego Harbor, because, well, you have seen it in the previews that GameLove posted about it, and I think it's a very cool idea of a map, though it does have some very strange things when it comes to the teleporters. Now, we know that this map is going to have 6 variants in total, which are going to be 3 with teleporters and 3 without teleporters. So one is just going to be the usual San Diego Harbor, as we kind of saw it in Asphalt 8, and the other ones are going to be like this one, with the maps going through this place that I always forget where it is, and, you know, some Cairo and all of that stuff, right? Now, I did mention that I want to talk a tiny bit about the teleporters because they do have a bit of a peculiar behavior to them, and that is specifically the angle and direction in which you take them. But we're gonna get more into it a little bit later. For now, let's jump into testing some of these, not some, all of these new cars. I'm gonna be doing 2 races with each, and I'll put some timestamps in the video so that you can jump to whichever you're most interested about, and also a different timestamp to talk about the teleporters. And we're gonna be going in order of the classes for these cars. So we're starting with the DS survolt, and I wanna show you real quick, well, we have already seen the stats, but what I wanna show you is the color options available for the default ones, which are kinda cool. It's basically the car all in black, but with different colors of accent, so I think that's pretty cool, but that is the default one. Eventually I should be able to paint it with proper colors, but I don't own it yet. Now, kind of like I figured out when I was looking at the stats in the video of the patch notes and all of that, I did say that the stats didn't seem to make much sense with the rank that it had, unless this car did have a perfect nitro boost. And guess what we have found out? It does have perfect nitro boost. Now, I'm gonna let you hear a little bit the engine sound, though in this case being an electric, well, not much to listen to, but there it is. I mean, I don't think there's much to talk about that sound, but hey, just wanted you to listen to it. Now, like I said, this does have perfect nitro boost, and that is the main power of this car, despite it being, again, like I mentioned in that video, a bit of a low-class C car, but look at that, 321 well, while with regular nitro goes at 304. So yeah, that is kind of the idea, and given that this car doesn't have absolutely terrible nitro, that's kind of dope. It drifts a little bit on the wide side. In general, I'm not going to say that it's an amazing car, but given that it's going to be a free car in the Drive Syndicate, as it normally is the case with the first cars in DSs, DS is standing for Drive Syndicate, not DS Survolt. Yeah, no, at least, hey, it's a nice car to get, so why not? And again, for the nostalgia value, it's kind of enjoyable. But yeah, overall, I'm not gonna say that this is an absolutely amazing car or anything in terms of the performance, but man, do I like how it looks, and can't wait to have it unlocked at more stars so that I can play with the colors and whatnot. But there you have it. Now I changed the color to the yellow accents because, hey, might as well, right? Some variety over here. But okay, here we go into San Diego Harbor. Now, I'm driving in the version, basically as a content creator, we have 2 available versions to test this track. One with AI and one without AI. I'm doing this one without AI because, well, the AI is a little bit more powerful than this car, and it can get a little bit too much on the way for me to show you what I want to show you. So, hey, for this car, we're doing this version. But yeah, so San Diego Harbor, very peculiar car. It's a very peculiar car. Well done, DBT. San Diego Harbor, a very known car brand. Very peculiar map. I have said it before, I'm not in love with the color scheme for this, but I'm starting to think that they did it so that you would see the clash between gray and boom, yellow, daylight, sunny. I don't know, maybe there's an argument to be said about that, but yeah. So, I don't know, I'm gonna say that this track unfortunately does suffer a little bit from what I consider just simply a design, how the game's design evolved over time. The maps of Asphalt, for example, in this case 6 or 7, versus a map of Asphalt 8, like it is San Diego Harbor, compared to the Asphalt Legends Unite map, are much more linear in design. So for example, in the San Diego Harbor, there's no reason why you wouldn't take the quote-unquote shortcut when it's a straight line compared, you know, in the tunnel compared to going outside. For example, over here, going inside of the pyramid does have a bit of a purpose. You get the jump, and the other one you get more nitro and more of a straight line. So it really depends on what you want to be doing. What car are you driving? But yeah, it's a bit of a situation. We'll talk more about this as we do some more of these races, but that is the DS Survolt. But now we have the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta. We know that this is going to be the Legend Pass, Legend Pass car. The colors available for this, again, only the default ones. We're going to have the usual colors for Ferrari, right? I don't think there's anything too surprising when it comes to this. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the car and the stats. Here we go. Let's do a little bit of Shanghai race over here. Now, Shanghai tends to be much more of a top speed oriented track, and this car, overall for a Class B car, is actually on the fast side. So hey, I felt like this would work kind of nice. But yeah, let's get into it. Now, I just realized that all of the cars are the same as mine. Wow, is that a feature for this test? I have no idea. But anyway, I've tested this car a little bit. I drove it a little bit, and the main thing that I can tell you is that the handling is what surprises me as to being considerably bad. I mean, the handling is not absolutely amazing or anything, but I did expect to be handling a little bit better given that it has higher handling than the F12 TDF, the other car that I compared it against. But hey, it is what it is. Now, when it comes to the top speed, like I was saying, it is a little bit on the fast side of Class B. Nothing insane like Apollo N or anything like that, right? But still, I think it's going to be a pretty decent car, especially for being a Unite Pass car, Legend Pass car. By the way, I think it's official now that it has been rebranded. Also, anything that was Unite now is back to Legend, so it's no longer the Unite Pass, it is the Legend Pass. Thank to all the idiots for that, because man, Jesus, it was so annoying to have to, you know, having said Unite Pass for so long, now having to change it to Legend. No, oh god, you see, I'm getting confused already. You know what I'm saying, whatever. Yeah, I'm glad that it's getting rebranded back to Legend Pass. It just feels more natural. But there it is, a quick race just with this thing so that you would see it in action. And for the second race, I'm going to show you the other version of San Diego Harbor, the one with AI. You can already see there's a Mosler, there's a lead at the bell, so I don't know how this race is going to go. At the end of the day, again, it's not so much about, ooh, can I beat the AI? It's more about, you know, just driving the car a little bit, giving you my thoughts on the car. And by the way, I should have said this from the very beginning, but you know that I'm not an amazing player in this game or close to anything like that. So this is going to be some very subjective opinions that I have on the car as I drive them. It's mostly for you to just see the car being driven rather than, oh yeah, no, DBT actually said that this is a great car and nah, don't pay attention to me when it comes to that. But that I think the other content creators are much more suited to give you a more objective opinion on the performance of cars. You know that me being a very mid player makes it so that, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about, it's fine, but that is kind of my specialty, just yapping, so there you go. But yeah, so don't take too seriously what I said about these cars, just giving you what I believe is the case with them. And like I was saying, this car, you know, it seems, you know, for a Legend Pass car, I think this is pretty alright. This is what I was talking about, by the way. There's no reason to go on the outside here, when you can just look at how big of a difference, look at the map. The huge difference in distance that you travel in one way or the other. So yeah, I don't see much of a reason to go on the outside, but hey, again, that is just kind of how these maps were originally designed in the original games. Even this one in Asphalt 8 that is more recent compared to Asphalt 6. Still, this track is very linear, to be completely honest, but hey, there you go, a little bit of F12 TDF. Now, can we talk about the Lamborghini Revuelto Lego Technic version? Because oh boy. Now, I've already said before that I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't love this car's design in the Lego version. I don't find it particularly appealing. Now, you may like it and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to agree with me in that. But yeah, I just don't like it visually all that much. It doesn't have any color options, by the way, but yeah, let's drive it. So I'm already biased against the look of the car itself, but actually, let's forget about the looks. Let's talk about the performance, because I've driven this thing a bunch in these tests, and man, this is Class B for sure, but holy smokes, does it feel good. It's similar to the Revuelto, actually it's not very similar to the Revuelto, because the regular Revuelto specializes in it specializes in acceleration, and top speed is pretty decent at like 360 or something. This is not quite like that. This one is the opposite. It has less acceleration at like 83, which is still pretty decent, pretty good, I would say. And the top speed is higher at 368 or something. But where this car really shines, it's on that drift. That drift is actually really good. And not only that, I may be mistaken, though I don't think I am, this car seems to be floaty capable. Again, take this with a huge grain of salt, but look when I do a punch drift. Hold on, let me... Do you see how it lifts the front wheel? That's what people have told me is the most obvious sign of a floaty capable car. But you see how... Okay, let me try to show it to you in another turn. Maybe around here, there's some... You saw how it flipped, lifted it? Take that again. Am I wrong? Or can this thing... I mean, you know that I'm not good at floaties. I still am trying to learn them and all of that stuff. But it does seem that this car is capable of that. And even without it, this thing still drifts really good. I mean, it's not insane drift like an F1 LM, but man, this surprised me. I thought this was going to be worse. In general, the Lego Technic version of cars in this game tend to be maybe in some different. Yeah, they tend to be different, but overall, I think they tend to be a little bit inferior than the regular version. Well, maybe an argument could be made about the Stingray, but still. No, I was surprised. This car definitely seems really, really, really good overall. Like I said, maybe it doesn't have the acceleration, the crazy acceleration that the original Revuelto does, but man, this is fine. Listen. It was basically to show how it breaks down into pieces. That was part of this video's idea, totally. But yeah, color me surprised on this. Regardless of the performance, I knew that I was going to be getting this car however I can, whenever I can. Because of course it's a Lambo. Now technically it's not listed as a Lambo, it's listed under Lego, but still you get the idea, right? So yeah, no, I'm very, very interested on getting this car, regardless of the performance. Once again, it's a Lambo, so I want it, but yeah, no, I'm really surprised about it, and I'm actually kind of glad. Just really sad that there's no color options, which is the case for all of the Lego cars. I wish it had color options because man, at least this one looks white. I think like the actual not collectible, buildable thing IRL is more like a dull gray, so this looks a little bit better. But yeah, no, I wish I had some color options, but it is what it is. But legit, I'm very, very pleasantly surprised with this car. It seems that it's a car that I would like to start up, maybe even max out eventually, because it does seem to perform quite alright. And given the rank, it seems decent, it seems reasonable enough, and it is faster than the other Revuelto, so there's that as well. But now let's look at the Ferrari F12, also the Lego version. Now this one is peculiar because the original car is class S, this one is class A, and both of them are low at their class, but still there it is. Again, no color options because there's no such thing for these things. But honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually do like this one quite a lot. Even compared to the Revuelto, I think this looks way closer to the original car and it looks pretty damn cool, or so I think. But while this one may have the looks, the Revuelto has the performance. Because honestly, just being honest with you over here, I don't think this car is very good. When I was looking at the patch notes and I was looking at the stats and everything, I did say that they seem very, very similar in stats in general to the LaFerrari, the regular LaFerrari. But you know, it's not a fantastic car by all means, or rather by any means. So yeah, I was like not necessarily super excited when it came to the stats of this car. Now, to be fair, I do believe that it's a slightly better car than the regular LaFerrari, but I do mean slightly. You can see that the white is very drift. Why am I twisting my words today? The drift is very wide, so nothing to talk about over there. I don't believe that this is a punch-capable car. I mean, you can see it lifts a little bit the wheel, but even if that actually counts as a punch drift, it's still insanely wide. I've not been able to make it be decent. Wait, was that better? I have no idea. But yeah, overall, I don't imagine that this is going to be a car that people are going to be going crazy over in terms of the performance, but it is a car that I actually do like. I've said that, well, I'm not a big fan of Ferrari as a whole. The LaFerrari and also the FX6K, it's a car that I actually like quite a bit, so I wouldn't mind actually collecting this one. So, yeah, there it is. Now, I want to use this race also to talk a bit more about the situation with the teleporters over here, because they do have a bit of a peculiarity to them. It's very simple, right? You go through the teleporter, you get teleported somewhere else, and that's about that. However, a thing that I've noticed the more that I go through these teleporters is that the angle at which you take the teleporter, the position, doesn't seem to matter too much, but the angle does. Totally intended. And that might actually, you gotta be careful with, because it may end up messing up some of your races if you're not careful around them. So one of the first things that I started doing when I was going through a teleporter is like, I know that I'm gonna be airborne by the time that I go through them, so why not just start some 360s? And the reason that I've decided to not be doing that too often is because it makes, again, the angle sort of unpredictable. And at first I thought that it was just a situation of, hey, 360s plus teleporter, maybe it's just not good. but the rest should be fine. No, I think it more has to do, the more that I play with this, see how that completely messed me up. It has to do with the angle at which you are taking the teleport. Like I said, I don't believe that the position of the that you're entering the teleporter matters as much as the angle. So for example, for this next teleporter, I'm gonna go in the middle of the teleporter, but at an extreme angle to the right. Well, actually, never mind. And there you go. It seems to keep the angle that you... Wow, I broke the game. Let's go! What bug? What breaking the game? I don't know what anybody's talking about. Nobody saw nothing. Yeah, I switched back to the Revuelto just for the sake of showing you. And I went into this section, or rather this version of the track, because I think it's a little easier to show the thing with the teleporters. But as I was saying, I think it has more to do with the angle at which you enter. And that might end up being a little bit of a weird situation, because you should be focusing, or you should be prioritizing entering on a straight line regardless of which, or rather as perpendicular as you can to the teleporter itself, rather than in which position. So over here I'm gonna go straight, but on the left side, and there's no problem. I entered and exited just fine. Now, what I'm gonna do in the next teleporter is enter in the middle of the teleporter, but at an angle. And once again, that should show a bit of a situation. So again, I'm gonna try to center myself here for the teleporter, and notice that I'm gonna be aiming, steering to the right, and there it is. Wrong out. That is what I'm talking about. So, I decided to spend a bunch of money over here in order to hire some really professional graphic designers to show you exactly what I feel this is doing. Microsoft Paint jump scare. All right, so here's the deal, right? This is gonna be the road, teleporter 1, teleporter 2. Now, the first thing that I thought on how this was gonna work is that if you enter the teleporter, say like this, on the side, you would exit it on the side, right? Well, if I was... There you go. That was my idea. And I thought, for example, that same thing, if I entered here, I would exit here. If I entered here, I would exit here. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. Regardless of where I enter, I seem to exit it always in the middle. So I could be literally going in the very, very, very edge of it, and I'm still gonna spawn in the middle. So that is fine, right? It seems to make sense. It's not a problem. However, as I was saying, what I'm noticing is that the problem is if you enter at an angle. Now, let's say that I'm driving weirdly and I enter aiming to this side. What's gonna happen is that I'm gonna exit on this side. I'm gonna have a lot of the momentum going on that direction, which is obviously gonna make me crash into the wall. Not ideal. Now, the thing that I was trying to show in the previous races is how it seems to be over here, for example, in what I just showed you, if you go in the middle, you spawn in the middle, that's fine. But what if I go like this and then go at an angle? What I'm gonna do is spawn still in the middle, still at an angle. Instead of, for example, spawning over here at an angle. So what that creates is that if by some mistake you end up going, let's say, you want to balance it out, and you go like, I'm on this side, but I'm gonna go at it over here. Well, it's still gonna be the same. You're gonna end up exiting like this. And forgive my horrible arrows, but I hope this gives you a bit of an idea of how this whole thing of the teleporters work. It seems to be a bit strange. So again, I think the most important part is not in which, and by the way, we're looking at this from above. I should have said it from the beginning, but yeah, doesn't matter in which part of the teleporter you enter. If you enter here, you're still gonna end up exiting it in the middle. No matter where it is, it's all in the middle. But once again, if you enter at it at an angle, you're driving like this, and you enter at an angle, you're gonna exit from the middle, but still at that angle. So you just gotta be careful with that. Just make sure to not be steering too hard when you exit the teleporter. Otherwise, yep, you're just gonna crash or ring out or something. Now let's talk about the Pagani Zonda Cinque, because of course, Class A car, 6 stars. I was corrected in saying that this is actually the second lowest Class A car with 6 stars, but hey. Now, oh man, the color options on this thing are just lovely. Actually, that one, even that one looks kind of dope. Very metallic, reflective, and all of that, but yes. All right, let's actually play with it. Now, for what I've driven of this car so far, I can tell that this is a pretty okay car to drive. Obviously, it's not gonna be a king of anything. Again, relatively low ranked Class A car, and not that the rank necessarily matters a lot. I mean, look at the Vanda, and still, you know how powerful that thing is. But hey, Oh god, I did that jump a little wrong. We're fine, we're fine. From what I've driven this car, it just seems to be one of those super balanced cars that doesn't do anything absolutely amazing, but it doesn't do anything badly. It actually drifts quite alright. It has some pretty decent speed. It accelerates quite alright. The nitro is also quite nice, actually. It's not just alright, it's nice. So yeah, I think this is a car that people would definitely be having some fun, and it's kind of nice to see that they gave this car some pretty good stats. Again, I'm not so much an Asphalt 6 player, never really got into it, but I know that this car means a lot for a lot of people that played that game. So yeah, it's nice to see that in some way they're bringing this car back in a nice way. Unlike the poor Veneno, I'm not gonna talk about the Veneno. I'm gonna talk about the Veneno. I'm sorry. The Veneno is a car that I consider to be the Asphalt 8's most iconic car. And once in Asphalt 9 Legends, when it was added, I think in the original version of the game, man, the poor Veneno just doesn't have it. But hey, whatever. That's a different topic. There's a Cinque. Let's test it with those teleporters. Now this truck might be very gray, but now my car is very colorful. How about that? It looks cool, I think. Don't worry, we'll get to that Arash later in this video. I know this is gonna be it's overall already a pretty long video, but I didn't want to make or test all of these cars in one single video because in the upcoming days there's still more stuff to talk about in the game. Tomorrow's video, I'm gonna give you a bit of a spoiler, is gonna have to do with this new stuff. Jesus Christ, I'm fine. That's how I like doing that. Okay, now we know that those barriers don't actually prevent you from falling off the track. Good to know. But yeah, tomorrow's video is gonna be about the new event that will begin. If you know, you know. But yeah, for now, I did definitely want to take the opportunity to do this video on this. Now, I imagine there's gonna be some free tries of these cars in multiplayer, and that's where it's gonna be interesting to test them. Because over here again, because I'm a very mid player, it's not that I can tell you a whole lot of anything on the performance. But hey, at least when you play against other cars, that might get interesting to see how it performs against them. But yeah, like I was saying, this car, the Cinque so far, seems like a pretty decent car. Again, it's not gonna blow anybody's mind in terms of performance, but at least it's not a bad car, and that is already something good. I know that sounds dumb, but it is. Look at that. I took it at an angle. You see how dangerous it was? Now, fortunately, I wasn't carrying too much speed, and this section, or this section of the map, I suppose, is very wide, so not much danger over there. But again, how about I mess it up in this next teleporter, because it should be a lot more narrow. I'm gonna do the same thing of going at an extreme angle, steering all the way to the left, and let's see where it takes me. Well, that was not too bad. I just bounced on the wall, but that made me lose all of the speed, so yeah. So like I was saying, you just gotta be careful with that. Again, the best advice that I can give so far from what I've noticed in the teleporters is just go at them in a straight line and you'll be fine. But okay, let's talk about the new Mercedes King of Class A. Similar to the Vision 111, which is also Mercedes-Benz. And actually, in the video where I was talking about the stats, apparently I was looking at the stats of the old version of the 111. So these two cars are very similar. You can see them right here, right next to the other. Insanely similar. Only this one has more top speed. This one has a tiny bit more nitro, but yes. Color options, by the way, because of course, I'm curious. None. Oh, well. Now at this point I'm already out of my elements, because even these very high class or high tier class A cars are already kind of what I'm not used to driving because I don't really own them. The only one that I have is the Countach PI, but yeah. So I couldn't really tell you how is this gonna compare against the Vision 111. What I can tell you, however, about this car itself is that, well, one thing that I did try and I think it doesn't quite work is the punch drift with this car. I don't believe that it does. I'm gonna try it right here. But you see, it doesn't leave the wheel. But then again, this car is so insanely long, it's kind of awkward. I don't know if you noticed, but when this race was starting in the countdown, the camera clipped through the car just because of how ridiculously long this car is. So yes, I've actually heard that it may possibly have a bit of physics issues. Just with because of the car, again, being so long. It kind of reminds me of the Lamborghini SV12. I used to call it the, what was that mean back then? The dummy thick car, because it was so long that it would have a lot of troubles in straight ramps, where the back of the car was, again, so long that it would end up causing issues, hitting the ramps in a weird way and messing up your race, so oof. And I don't know if that's gonna be the case with this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. But yeah, alright, there's one race with this thing. Once again, let's go into the new map. By the way, in case you don't know, this race, it's called Pacific to Pyramid. Okay, I like the name, you know, making a reference from, you know, this map to the other map. Okay, yeah, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, so again, no idea how this car actually performs, and more with the last two cars that I'm going to be doing in this video, of course, the Class S cars, because they're so high tier Class S, those I really have no experience. So my gameplay with them is going to be a little bit atrocious, but hey, don't judge me too much. Well, you can judge me, it's fine. But yeah, just warning you that that's what's going to happen. But yeah, coming back to this car, the one thing that I noticed is that the drift at the very least seems to be pretty alright, or pretty good. I should probably have tested it in some tracks that requires more drift, but you know. Oh, wait a second, that actually felt wide, but with that whole thing with some maps, the drift is better, the drift is worse. No, but I think this is pretty usable. I don't think people should have too much trouble, but again, I would rely more on the other content creators to actually give you more... You see, I thought I was going on a straight line over there. Oh, by the way, if I do this jump high enough, you can see the teleporter on the other side, but I didn't. Never mind. Yeah, so I would trust more the other content creators to give you more informed... You see that drift was pretty right. Yeah, look at that. To give you a more balanced or more objective or with more experience type of review of these cars. Because over here I'm just messing around and, you know, just doing some races so that you can enjoy looking at the car. But yeah, that's basically it. But how about that big bad Mosler? Oh yeah. Again, one of the newest elite class S cars, so there is that. A bunch of color options, which, you know, nice. This color, however, is like, oh, my eyes, it hurts a little bit, but now let's go for the red just because. Why not? Before actually going any further, I thought of using the red as well because someone recently told me that this looks like Deadpool. You see it? Because of the red, the black, the eyes, no? Yeah? No? Alright, for this race I went into Paris because maybe it'll give a bit of an opportunity for this car to stretch its quote-unquote legs. But yeah, so when I was reviewing or rather looking at the stats of this car and all of that, I did say that I thought this was going to be similar to the Venom F5 because stats-wise, it compares quite a bit against that car. It's not as fast by about 6 kilometers or something like that, but you know, it's close enough. And for this type of cars, the high-tier Class S, I thought that was the closest one. I would tell you that this car definitely doesn't feel like a bad car to drive at all. The drift, you can see, is very usable, but I would say that I still... From what I've driven the Venom, it does seem like a better car overall. By the way, this does seem to have the capability for floaties, as you saw over there. I'm going to try to do with the punch drift here again. Just basically, not that I'm doing the punch drift good, it's just to show you how it lifts the wheel pretty massively. So I do believe that is what is going to, what indicates indeed the capability for the floaties for this car. But, oh, Jesus! Sure. Okay, so I'm redoing this race because I think it would have been better to try to show you a little bit of the floaties and also not wreck in the last turn. So hey, let's do it over. Let's pretend the previous race never happened. It never happened. I don't know what you're talking about, and you can definitely not rewind this video to look at that race. There you go. But yeah, as I was saying, or maybe not because that race didn't happen. Can I do this? Oh, look at that! I did it. 349 drift speed there was. Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, like I said, I'm not very good at this whole thing, so you'll have to forgive my noobishness while trying to show things like this. But again, it's just to give you an idea of this car being capable of doing things like that, though, obviously with the bad driver. Well, why? I don't know. I think I really don't know how to do this, because you saw how that one went insanely wide. That one as well. So I still haven't quite understood why some work, why some they, some don't. But that is more a me thing than the car, right? So here we go. I wanted to do this turn. Because I wanted to do the long drift and see how much speed it loses. Because I feel like it does lose quite a bit of speed as you do the drift very long, but hey, skill issue, I know. Now, like I said, the track may not have color, but my car does. Yeah, I brought that weird green, so there you go. Which actually doesn't look as bad over here. I don't know, I think in the garage it's just because of the lighting. It looks like super bright, super weird. But over here it looks kind of nice. Well, I mean, if you like this color at all. If you don't like it, well, obviously you don't, but it's fine, you know what I mean. But yeah, so when I say that this is similar to the Venom, I think it sort of is, though in my very subjective way of judging cars, I still think that the Venom is the more, the easier car to drive, the more fun one. I don't know. Again, people will have to eventually test them out proper, or maybe they already did, I haven't checked. But yeah, maybe they can guide you a little bit better as to whether or not these cars are, better or worse than existing cars. And especially again with these very high class S cars that I don't have a ton of experience with because, well, I don't really own super high class S cars. Well, now I own the Venom, but you know, at low stars, so that barely counts for anything, but hey, you get my idea. Right, so 506 speed over here. Oh, no nitro to complete that. Never mind, I just wanted to see what it was, but yep, nope, DVT do be doing bad, it's fine. Alright, I'm gonna go on a straight line again. Straight line, no problemo. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess what I was saying about the teleporter and how you have to take them at an angle or not take them at an angle also depends on which teleporter you're taking. Like that last teleporter that brought me into this section of the map, it would have been better to already kind of have been going at an angle to the left, but hey, it's fine. But the time has finally come to talk about the new king of the game, the Arash Imperium. Now, if you forgive me, if you would just allow me for a second, Jesus Christ, there we go. Sorry, it's just in black. It doesn't show anything. You can barely see the shape, but look at this. Now you can see it. Now you can appreciate the car, and well, there it is. It is, I don't know. I like the half front of the car. The half back looks kind of too plain to me. I mean, looking at this like, it looks nice. But, you know, this whole section just like this, I don't know, I think it looks a little bit plain, but either way. New king of the game, 535 kilometers an hour, is pretty fast. It's not the fastest, but still with this acceleration, it's promising. And yes, 1,000 minarets because of course, top speed, so might as well test it. Now, I've driven this car a little bit here in the tests. And again, because I'm a player with very limited skills, I couldn't tell you anything objectively, but from my experience, this so far seems to be of these very fast cars, one of the easier ones for me to drive. I think it's probably because of the acceleration, but even then, there's some other cars that do have in theory high acceleration with very high top speed, and yet there comes a point when you don't feel like it's actually accelerating anymore. Like the Devel, well, I mean, granted, the Devel has lower acceleration than this, but this does seem to reach its top speed. I'm able to hit the top speed often, and I'm like, wow, that is very uncommon for me. Even when doing some tests with, oh god, Jesus! Intended, because I wanted to show you that jump. Totally. God damn it, TBT, focus. Yeah, it does seem that I'm able more often to hit the top speed with this thing, so it does seem that the acceleration is better. I don't know how to explain this. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but the fact that I can look at my speedometer from time to time and be like, oh yeah, that is my speed. That is me going at high speed. Look at this drift. I mean, it may not look but yeah, that speed of bad drift and still going almost 300 kilometers an hour, that's still pretty good. So well done. It probably can do so much better. Honestly, would I call this the new king of the game regardless of the rank? I don't know. Because again, I don't have experience with this type of cars, but man, is it fun to drive. Seems to be very powerful. Then one last test here in San Diego, because why not? By the way, I don't think I talked about it, so no, this definitely feels floaty capable. To which degree, I don't know. Let me see if I can pop a wheel over here. Yeah, you see? Even at low speed, look at that. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Now, how good is the floaties? That's another thing that I've been learning. Not learning as in I know how to do or exactly, but I've been hearing how some cars, despite having floaty capabilities, that doesn't necessarily make them a good car to be doing floaties because it goes super wide or things like that. So, yeah, I'm telling you, this is an entire topic. But look at me reaching almost top speed right here. Oh, man. I'm telling you, it's so rare for me to hit top speed in this type of cars. And the fact that I can do it so often with this one does seem like a really good thing. Okay, I should have gone probably on the middle. I mean, on the right side, but up. I'm fine. Oh, the water doesn't slow me down. Oh, I thought the water was going to be rough. The rain, it's not. Let's go. All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate that game. And yeah, let's do a little bit of brawls here. I'm telling you, I am a bad player overall, and the fact that I can half drive this car tells me that this is definitely going to be a very strong car. So, yep. For anybody that is going to be going for this car, at least you can rest assured, according to the very subjective opinion of DBT, once again, that this car seems pretty damn strong. Well, there you go. Again, I know that this was a very long video. That's why I put the timestamps and everything, so you can check it out in parts if you want to see one specific car and whatnot. I'm talking a little bit about the track itself, because other than the teleporters, I don't think that there's much to talk about the track. It's a nice track, except that I really don't like the colors that they use for this one. In the original Asphalt 8, this track was a lot more in the sunset, so it was very orangey, it looked very nice. Over here it's just raining, very overcast, but hey, you know, it's just a matter of opinion. Some people actually do like maps where it's raining and all of that stuff, so hey, it's up to you. But yeah, overall, just wanted to talk about these cars, test them out a little bit, because last time that I had access to this, I never made a video testing these cars. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you would like me to do more like this in the future, maybe split them into two, because again, this video is like 35 minutes long, and that's maybe too long. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. Again, if you like it, like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and I will see you next one. Bye-bye!